Hey guys, Mike Dillard here, and I've got some pretty big news that I wanted to share with all of you here today. And yeah, I think it's about time to bring y'all up to speed on everything that's been going on and what's to come. So, if you've been on my email list, you know that I've been dealing with a pretty big health challenge over the last 10 months. I essentially suffered a brain injury slash nervous system injury back in June that took away my ability to fall asleep. And I don't mean insomnia, I mean the physical inability to fall asleep, which was pretty fucking scary and almost put me in the hospital and almost killed me. Yay, lots of fun times. So it's been an incredibly challenging year, and as challenging as it has been, it's also been as rewarding because of what it's forced me to do, the work that I've needed to do on my health, and just when it comes to my priorities in life and what I want to do, because I didn't know how much longer I would have. So the good news is that things have really started to improve over the last 1 to 2 months. I'm essentially getting back to work now for the first time, obviously making videos. You probably haven't seen me post anything on social in at least 6, 7, 8 months. Because I just really haven't been up for it, but that's changing here recently, which is awesome news. So I'm making a bunch of big changes around my life and around the business. One of those y'all probably saw over the last month. I moved the selfmademan.com platform over to mikedillard.com. And I wanted to fill you guys in on why and what I've learned from that process. So when I started Self-Made Man, the goal was to build a business in the information space that was not dependent upon me and that I was really not the face of or a part of in any capacity other than the podcast, because kind of hard to do a podcast without being the host. But that was the original goal, and it was a new challenge that I wanted to take on. I've always found the need to kind of push myself into new realms. As an entrepreneur, I get bored doing the same thing over and over again. So Self-Made Man was a big part of that. And unfortunately, I made some poor decisions in hindsight that I should have known better, because I've made this mistake twice before. So this is the third time I've made it during my career. And the fact that I spent a ton of money, 7 figures, developing a custom software platform that Self-Made Man was built upon. And I really did this modeling Udemy, Skillshare, and a bunch of these other e-learning platforms. You know, I figured, hey, these guys have been around a while, they're having success, I'm just going to model what they're doing. So that's what I did. And unfortunately, the difference is that those companies all have $20 to $100 million in VC funding. Creative Live is another example. The last I looked, they had raised $70 million. So I didn't have that. I was paying for all of the development out of my pocket. And if you've ever done custom software, you know that it is a never-ending project. So beyond the actual development cost to get it up and running, it usually costs between $30,000 and $40,000 a month just to maintain and update. If we want to split test something, if we want to add new features, if we need to fix something, you're looking at 30, 40 grand in dev costs a month. And that's usually not money that's bringing in more money, right? That's not an ad budget, that's not a marketing budget, that's just sunk cost into the project as basically a really big tax. So, and really what I learned is that at the end of the day, the vast majority of our members were not using the cool features that we built into the platform and that cost all of that money, like the ability to take notes and save the notes and all of these other cool pieces. Nobody really cared. Everybody just wanted the content. And the content is phenomenal, but you don't need a $30,000 to $40,000 a month platform to host that content, especially when you're not working for almost a year. So we pulled the plug on that. We migrated everything over to ClickFunnels, WordPress, and Wishlist Member a couple of weeks ago, and we moved it over to mikedillard.com. So we're still updating the webpage there, but you can go check out mikedillard.com/classes. You can see all the classes. The site pretty much looks the same. We're missing a couple of those special features, but nobody really used them anyway, so we're not missing anything there. And now we can run the entire business, for about $4,000 to $5,000 a month instead of $30,000 to $40,000 a month. So that was piece number one. Piece number two, why did I move it over to mikedillard.com? Why didn't we keep the Self-Made Man brand? what I have found through this exercise is that if you're in the teaching space, if you're in the information space, you're really in the leadership business. And I've said that for years. I've known that for years. And when you're really not the leader of that project anymore, you're not putting yourself out there as the leader, or as Russell Brunson would put it, the charismatic leader or character. There's really not a lot of reason for people to follow the project. And so Self-Made Man in the classes became kind of a one-off tool instead of this cohesive organization that everybody was built around a central mission and a central leader. And it just really didn't gain the traction that I'd hoped it had because of that. With that being said, I got sick about 90 days after we launched, so it really didn't get a good shot either. So I could be wrong on this, but I'm just going by my gut here and my previous experience. So with the introspection that I've had to take over the last year almost, and what I've needed to do to reprioritize my life and how do I want to spend hopefully what will be the next 40 years of my life, it really came back down to teaching. That's what I've really been good at. It's what I've loved to do. And if I had to go back and only had the capacity to do one thing, for the rest of my career, I had to admit that that's it. And if you're going to teach anyone or build a following or build a tribe, you need to do it under your own personal name. It will be 10 times more effective if you do that, if you build that relationship, if you build that rapport, than if you were to do it under some random brand, right? So that's why we're moving everything back over to my name. And that brings me to the second big piece of news, which is the fact that I'm going to be changing the name of the podcast as well. So after 3.5 years, over 200 episodes, we're going to be changing the name of the Self-Made Man podcast to the Mike Dillard Podcast or the Mike Dillard Show. Not quite sure. The goal is to do that here this week, and we're working on the new cover art right now. And we're going to essentially turn selfmademan.com into something else, which I'll tell you guys about here in the coming months. It's not a huge project or anything super significant. And so it's not a big priority on my plate. It's kind of at the bottom of the list right now, but we do have an idea for it and how we're going to use it. So I'll keep you guys posted there. But keep an eye out for a big change as far as the podcast goes this week. That's my goal, is to get it launched and rebranded here before the next episode goes live. And I wanted to let you guys know about that ahead of time. So yeah, a lot of lessons learned this year, a lot of expensive lessons learned this year. Don't make proprietary software unless you know that as your primary skill. If coding is your primary skill set, that's phenomenal. If it's not, and you're hiring another team to do the coding for you, I've always followed the rule of 3X, which has been proven to be the case every single time, which is the fact that it's going to cost you 3 times more than you budgeted for, and it's going to take 3 times longer than you thought it would. And I've done this 3 different times now, and I've lost 7 figures every single time I've done it. So finally, the lesson is learned. No more custom software. The classes have been phenomenal. The feedback you guys have left on the classes have been phenomenal. And that's one more change that we've made. So we got rid of the monthly subscription for now, at least. And you can go over to MikeDillard.com classes and buy any class you want for $5 a piece. It's an unbelievable deal, especially for some of the classes we have in there. The one with Russell, the one with Andy Frizella is phenomenal. Christine Hassler is phenomenal. Nick Onken on how to take Instagram photos. For $5, we're basically giving these things away for free right now. But that's just a test. We're going to continue to play with the business model here in the coming months. And so if you've ever wanted to go, pick one up. Now is the time to do it, because it's probably going to go up here fairly shortly. So that's it. That's one of the big latest updates for you. And thank you so much for your support of the podcast over the years. I continue to get messages on Instagram and just via email every single day about the value that you guys get from the show, which has been absolutely awesome. I'm glad I've been able to continue to do that here over the last 10 months. And, it really has been awesome to see you guys benefit from it so much. So we've got a bunch of great episodes yet to come. This week's is going to be a doozy. The name of the show is How to Unfuck Yourself, and the book that it goes with is phenomenal. This is one of those episodes that just left my mind in a mess, or mush, I should say, because it made me think so hard about life and your decisions and things like that. It's just absolutely phenomenal. So keep an eye out for that. Subscribe to the show if you haven't, and wherever you're finding this video, if it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, please subscribe, follow the channel. I'm going to be producing a lot more content like this now that I have energy again and I'm able to function as a somewhat normal human being. Not out of the woods yet, still can't fall asleep without medicine, but I've definitely made a lot of progress. So thanks again for your support, and we'll see you soon. Take care.